Hello, welcome to Glazing with AMACO. This is Kara, and today's video I'm going to demonstrate how I decorated this plate using V370 Velour Black Underglaze. This is in one of our underglaze applicators, and Celadons. So I used C25 downpour and C19 glacier, and I will be repeating those. So because the Celadons are somewhat translucent, you can do kind of a watercolor-ish effect. So I have my plate, and the first thing is to do a decoration on it. Now I can do different things. I can do flowers, leaves, dragonflies. You can also, if you want to use underglaze decals, either commercially made or your own, you can use underglaze decals for this. So if you have underglaze decals and want to do imagery and then do the Celadons on top, I do recommend that you test first to make sure that the Celadons that you use are not so opaque that they're going to cover up the decoration. So for the dragonflies, I just do kind of a quick little dragonfly, and then I did a leaf. Sorry, we do get a lot of the scrapey noise. Now you can use a template if you prefer to have something that's a little bit more detailed. I kind of like just doing loose drawings. You can also do some little circles. You can do different kinds of shapes. Like I said, anything. Just use a dark color of underglaze for this technique. You can use something other than black, but it will need to be fairly dark. And while that dries, I'm going to show you the plate that I did with the smugs a couple of weeks ago. I know that it's been a long time. It didn't get fired for quite a while, but here is the dinosaur as Frida Kahlo, or Frida Kahlo as a dinosaur, plate done with smugs. So if you saw this demo, or if you want to go back and look at it, this was 3 coats of satin matte white, and then I used the semi-moist underglazes on top of the raw unfired satin matte glaze, and just painted just like as if I was using a watercolor or a gouache. So now that it's fired, it's got a nice buttery surface, and you can see there's no bubbling, no blistering. It's just nice bright color, really vivid. Let's see if I can get that without so much glare. It's hard to get it without the glare. But really, really pretty colors, no movement. It just stays right where you put it, and it has a beautiful softness to it. So that is the results from the smugs. Let's see. Mostly this is fairly dry. It does dry pretty quickly. So my next step is applying the darker of my glazes. I've also seen this done to beautiful effect with ochre as the darker glaze over a leaf design, and then the mixing clear applied over the whole thing. So I have my downpour. And I want to make sure I have enough for it to show, but not so much that it's too opaque. And where it's thicker, it is going to be fairly opaque. So I want to, and you'll notice I am going completely over my underglaze area. And that is conscious. I do want to cover it, but I don't. You can go inside of it, different effects. If you wanted to be really precise and perfect, that works too. I like it to kind of overlap. You see how it goes outside the lines. I'm a big believer in coloring outside the lines. And yes, my preschool teachers thought that was terrible. So, yet here I am. So, I'm just going to go over each section of the leaf, and then where the dragonfly is, I do want to wait for the underglaze to dry completely so that I don't smear. Now, if you wanted to smear, that would be a conscious decision if that's what you're going for. In my case, I don't want to smear the lines, so once I have those, I'm also going to do a few dots. You can do as much or as little design as you like. And then to finish it, I made a rim of the, I painted the rim with the downpour. This would be easier if I had a banding wheel handy, but I'm not going to go fetch one, so. One of the nice things about doing this is that layering with the Celadons, you know that there's not going to be glaze interactions that will be problematic. Do choose, even if you're choosing a darker color, choose one that's, your darker color should still be one that's fairly transparent. You don't want it to be so opaque that it obliterates your drawing. So like, don't use something like obsidian or cobalt, which, unless you're going to mix them with some clear to lighten them up. So just doing the one coat, oh, I missed a spot there. Just doing the one coat of downpour, kind of thin that. And then I'll let that dry. And when that is dry to the touch, it'll be time to apply 2 to 3 coats of the Glacier C19. For those of you who are just joining in, that was Downpour C25 over Velvet 370 lines. And then I'll follow this with 2 to 3 coats of the Glacier. But I need to wait for this to be dry so that I don't have any smearing. So, you know, this is a really short and simple technique. I really love things that are easy. And of course, if you're using underglaze decals, that's another way to get layers of design. There's lots of ways that you can use a decal where you're coloring in just certain parts of it. And then, of course, with the clear or a light color glaze like Glacier or Ice or Mixing Clear. So, I think I will be back at 12:30, and at that point, I'm going to do the 2 coats of Glacier. So, I'll see you in about an hour. Thanks for joining in.